If you've played Elden Ring, you've most likely heard of the Mimic tier, whether that's through a video or finding it in-game. But, in case you are in fact a reincarnation of Patrick and you do live under a rock, the Mimic tier is a Spirit Ash summon which is incredibly OP. And while it's still OP now, it is a lot less OP than it was at launch. But that's besides the point. Really, it doesn't matter if you use Ash summons, if you use the Mimic tier or not, as long as you're enjoying the game. Obviously, it takes away some effect to the game, but it really doesn't matter. As surprise surprise, this video actually has really nothing to do with the effects Mimic tier had. In fact, it's to do with the lore behind the Mimic tier. Like in Dark Souls 1 with the Witch of Izalith, a certain sect called the Nox sought to create their own life, and from this came a cacophony of life. The Silver tiers, Albinorix version 1 and 2, the Mimic tier, so on and so on. And while this was despised by the Greater Will, it was still life, and they still had thoughts. And while there are many life forms created by the Nox, today, as the title and that intro suggests, today we are going to be talking about the Mimic tiers. We are made to believe, time and time again, that the Mimic tiers are simply clones of us. We summon them and then, well, they do our bidding and pretend to be us. But you see, there is so much more to them than that. Did you ever stop to think and wonder, perhaps, why the Mimic tier can sometimes either do less damage than you or more? How it has more health, how it's more durable, how it can just stand there and tank so many hits where you just die in 2 hits. Doesn't make much sense, does it? Until you consider the possibility that perhaps the Mimic tiers aren't so much a copy of us, but simply taking on elements of us, like the Great Jars and the Valiant Gargoyles. Alexander tells us time and time again how he takes on the flesh of those fallen adversaries and brings them into himself. The Valiant Gargoyles are patched together with the corpse wax of great champions. And while you might be thinking, oh, the Mimic tier is just like this, it's just like the other two, this can't be further from the truth. You see, the other two take the dead matter from, well, dead people. But the Mimic tier takes it from living people, turning itself into whatever form you're currently taking yourself. How it does this? Well, if you look at it, it's quite clear that it takes a lot of inspiration from Mercury. Mercury is both a liquid and a solid, can change forms no matter what. Just like the Mimic tier, turn into a liquid and then to a solid form, taking on the appearance of you and your abilities. But also, it's a really neat reference to a Pokemon called Ditto. Both are Japanese in origin. From Software's Japanese, Pokemon originates in Japan. Ditto basically is this sludgy Pokemon that can form into different Pokemon. It's really cool and it's pretty identical. Well, not even pretty identical. It's completely identical to what you're seeing on the screen right now. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you're thinking right now, Gecko, you little liar, there's no dark side. But trust me, mate, there is a dark side and we're getting into it now. Don't you worry. Beings are capable of 3 types of intelligence. Either no sentience, sentience, or sapience. Now, sentience means the ability to think, but not on a higher thought. On the other hand, sapience is being able to think on a higher thought. We as humans are sapient. For example, our species is literally called Homo sapiens. We are a prime example of that. And now, while it's easy to think that perhaps the Mimic tiers are sentient, but not sapient, this couldn't be further from the truth, as we do in fact get this information from a cut quest line. This cut quest line was discovered by a Reddit user named Tremorforge over a year ago. Now, this may be the original post, or it may be someone else taking someone else's work. If that is the case, I am very, very sorry. Please let me know down in the comments and I'll update it in the pinned comments. I don't want to be spreading misinformation that this person did actually find it, but to my knowledge, they did. But that is just text, and it just so happens a really amazing YouTuber called Nulrin, who I definitely recommend going to subscribe to, did in fact restore this quest line where we meet a Simi. I'll let the clip play now. this is the footage from his video, but the reason I'm using it is the simple fact I don't have the knowledge or capabilities to run this at all on my PS5, as I know nothing about data mining. This does in fact show us as well that the mimic tears and the silver tear husks are in fact sapient and not sentient. They are very, very much aware.
Please wait, proud, tarnished warrior. Before you kill me, let me speak. I can aid you. Please, just hear me out. Thank you for listening. I am a Simi. My true form is that of a silver tear. I am a simple being who can assume the shapes of other living things. But now, I've gained knowledge. I speak and ponder and live in fear of death.
And this is where the horrors finally start to unravel. The mimic tears have been forced into servitude their entire life. They were breeded and created for some singular purpose of the Nox. Only a Simi managed to escape and eventually found us, who would in fact fulfill the prophecy and desires of the Nox. Their singular purpose was to create a worthy lord. Now, who was this lord for? Most likely for Rani, seeing though both are linked with the stars. But something that might be piquing your interest is, how on earth is a mimic tear going to make a worthy lord? Well, bear in mind this is all cut content. You should always take cut content with a grain of salt, as this is cut content, and while it is very important what it has to say, there is also a chance that this got removed for the single purpose that From Software decided it wasn't fit. A Simi and the Mimic Tear's purpose was to become one with a would-be lord. And we just so happen to be that very lord. A Simi becomes one with us, and throughout the game she comments up, but eventually, near the end, she splits off from us, a perfect copy of us, in every single aspect. The only difference being she has far different agendas to us, or should I say the Nox have far different agendas. You see, a Simi throughout all her questline seems to be, a really upstanding person, cool, amazing, and it's quite wholesome. But this reminds me heavily of Star Wars. Well, Order 66, clones, they're hardwired, just like a Simi and the Mimic Tears are. They have been manufactured. Yes, they have free will, but when the time comes, that free will is robbed of them, becoming slaves to their own bodies. The Mimic Tears also take a lot of inspiration from, Hollow Knight. You might be thinking, how? Well, in Hollow Knight, if you have played it, if you haven't, I'll give you a quick rundown. A species was created by a being known as the Pale King, or the Pale Worm, for the purpose of containing the bright light created by the Radiance. Now, this species was created just for that, and the ones that didn't meet the standards for being pure and emotionless were thrown deep into an abyssal canyon, out of mind and, out of sight. Tens of thousands of the Pale King's own children died by his hands. Only 2 survived that we know of, one being our player character, and the pure vessel, which was in fact the one chosen. But even it was not pure. It carried emotions, as we see in the Abyss cutscene. I wonder, does this sound familiar to anyone? This is almost identical to a Simi's questline and the Mimic Tears story. The failed Mimic Tears are the equivalent of the failed Void Vessels. A Simi is the pure vessel. The counterpart for our main character inside of Hollow Knight is in fact the Mimic Tear we find outside of Nokron. It has escaped, just like our player character is. The Nox is the Pale King, except they're multiple beings, but perhaps this is suggesting, considering Marika does possibly have connections to the Nox, perhaps she is the equivalent of the Pale King. This is very heavy speculation, and of course there's a chance that this is completely wrong and I'm reading way too much into it, but this seems way too convenient for it not to be a nice Easter egg towards an amazing indie game, an amazing movie series, and another amazing game, and another amazing TV series. In conclusion, the Mimic Tears are truly tragic, and while it seems like a bit of a running gag now. Elden Ring has so many tragic characters, it's hard to keep up, but Mimic Tears are definitely up there with Moog and Mikola and Morgoth, the whole shebang. If you did enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. And if you want to see more content like this, let me know as well, as I absolutely love making this content. The support over the last few weeks and the last few months has been absolutely bloody incredible. And all I can say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Anyways, I won't hold your ears hostage any longer. I hope you all have a great day. And yeah, may you find your worth in the waking world. Bye everyone.